All right. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. So just pulled into the driveway. Just got home from work. While at work, I listened to the Chrissie Mayr, however it's pronounced, Simpcast stream that she put on tonight. And there's a scene in the movie, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, Unbreakable, regarding a train wreck. This was equivalent to that train wreck, just fewer people died. And obviously, that was a film and it was a work of fiction. What Chrissie Mayr pulled off tonight was a real-life metaphorical train wreck that may not have killed any people, but certainly did a horrendous amount of damage to her credibility and reputation. I left the show for a short bit, not long after it started, when she pulled out the human shield of her child to explain away her not being up on top of everything that had been going on regarding Melanie Mack and quartering, saying that she didn't have time to look into these things, which was demonstrably proven to be untrue time and again, leading up to this dumpster fire broadcast of hers. And thankfully, when Brittany Venti got on and held her feet to the fire and said, no, you were in a stream with a couple of folks just 2 weeks prior to this sit down with Melanie Mack. You knew about this. They went over it extensively. Look, when your job, your career, focuses largely on commenting on and discussing online activities and events and people, that's part of your job. So are you just shite at your job? I understand. And she made the appeal to parents in her audience. You know what it's like having a little kid, a 2-year-old or younger at home. Yeah, I know very well how that is. I've got 4 of them in the house. A 13-year-old, about to be a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. You know who their primary caregiver is during the day and has been since they were born? Me. All right? I'm the primary caregiver because my wife works mornings at her job and has for years. We trade off. We work opposite shifts. So there's always a parent home with our children because we're middle class. We're lower middle class. That's just how it has to be done. And yet, while taking care of my kids and tending to their needs and being dad, which is enjoyable, it's fun, reminds me of what it's like to be young and keeps me motivated in my life to do anything and everything I can so that they can have better than I had. Having a kid does not excuse you from doing your duties elsewise. Because the entire time that I've been dad and the primary caretaker for them during the day, I have still worked a regular full-time job. And even I have been keeping abreast of these events and goings on. You know how? Simple. Earbuds. While I'm at work, at my job, it's not a complicated job. It doesn't require a lot of mental bandwidth. I'm just a janitor. Quite literally, a Janny. Okay? Sweep it up, Jan. Yeah, that's a small percentage of my job. For the most part, I'm the garbage man at my job. I listen in and keep abreast of events. I read things when I have the time. I make the time on my own gib. Right? It's not impossible. It's certainly challenging to try and find ways to get these things done and taken care of, or to stay abreast with current events. but it is more than doable. I'm a moron and I manage it. What's your excuse? And by the way, while these kids are still been young, okay, I have still managed somehow to continue working on my art, writing fiction novels and short stories. I don't get a whole lot of time to do it, but I find ways on my breaks at work, or I'll get home from work and I'll stay up a little later, carve into my sleep schedule a little bit. It's that little bit of sacrifice, that little bit extra, in order to make sure that, yeah, I can still be my own person and not carve that time away from my children who need me more than I need to work on that stuff. Much as I love it, my first duty is to my kids. Thankfully, for Chrissie, she seems to really have a good grip on that. And that's possibly the only factor that would offer her any grace or mercy, as far as I'm concerned, regarding this whole bacchanal. I get it. You said yourself you'd rather be a good mom and a shit screamer. Well, kudos to that. But it's not a blanket excuse. You also don't get to drape yourself in the blanket of Christendom, whether it be in the form of Protestantism or Catholicism, and use that as a shield, as a newborn convert, to excuse away all of your other shitty behavior. For God's sakes, you have for years now primarily presented yourself as someone who spends a great deal of their time chit-chatting with women who are absolute hooers, who spend their time professionally getting seminal fluid sprayed on them or in them by total strangers and smiling and taking a paycheck for it. Are you going to keep doing that? Is that still going to be your primary programming? What you do professionally, not my business, not my concern. Okay? But if you want to claim to be a professional at this shit, then you have to actually make an effort at it. You say you're trying to do lower effort stuff that doesn't require a whole lot of research or back reading and checking up on things. That's your choice. You chose this. The whole, well, we're probably going to be homeschooling our kiddo because in New York, you got to get like 30, 40 fucking vaccinations before you can send them to school. You choose to live in New York. That's your choice. That's not the audience's responsibility. You make a conscious decision to live where you live, primarily in New York, because that's where there's a lot of access and opportunities for the stand-up comedy scene. Understandable. But also understand this. You make that choice. Thomas Sowell said in most situations, there is no perfect solution. There are only trade-offs. You have made the trade-off to continue living in that state because there are career opportunities for you as a comedian, quote unquote. That's the trade-off. We didn't choose that. You did. Own up to it. Take accountability for the choices you have made. And that's all Brittany was asking of you, was to take accountability for the choices you have made. And at every turn, you dodge that shit. You dodge it. Wherever possible. Whenever possible. This is not even the sort of thing that I should give a shit about. Most of us shouldn't. Should not care one way or the other. Because God knows you wouldn't give a tin shit about anyone who throws their pittance money at you in the form of super chats or donations. You don't care about these people. They're just a paycheck to you. Some of us are well familiar with that. We understand that you don't give a damn so long as you get your payday. Secure your bag. We are aware that you don't give a shit. The whole other phenomenon that struck me as curious, and Brittany Venti mentioned it, and Meme Copium mentioned it, and several other folks have commented on it, how during the Mel stream, and tonight during the stream where you actually got confronted by Brittany, you would choose and select super chats to read aloud quite enthusiastically that were complimentary or benevolent towards you, with clear diction and clear happiness and joy. Yet whenever a chat came through that was a little bit more combative or aggressive toward you or Melanie, that undercut your story and your perspective, you'd start mush-mouthing and muttering and mumbling it and kind of letting it go to the wayside. You're a performer. You're a stand-up comedian. You are familiar with the tactics and technique of tone, volume, pacing, and delivery. Some of us are not so retarded that we're unaware of what you're doing. It's a performance, and you are using the tools and the trappings and the tricks of stage performance in order to try and benefit the framing of it all for yourself. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but even I can see what you're doing. Have some fucking decency to not insult your audience into assuming that they don't know what you're doing. You've been at this long enough. You should realize some of us are going to catch you out at what you're doing. And we're not going to be best pleased with seeing that you think we're all fucking idiots. That's all I've got on this for now. Take care.